Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, F8 Well Centers. I'm here today with Dr. Jake, and we're going to go over some neuro. Dr. Jake is our local neuro expert, and we're going to be talking about napping, and we're going to be talking about dementia and Alzheimer's. And dementia, remember, it's that big umbrella. Alzheimer's is one of those little. It's not even little, but it's one of the issues under dementia that we look at. And so what the research is now showing is that the more somebody naps, and even hour plus napping per day, the more likely they are to get Alzheimer's or dementia. And so we're going to go over why that actually is. And it's really like Dr. Jake was just saying as we were talking about this, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it napping that causes Alzheimer's or dementia, or is it that the neurodegeneration is coming out as a nap? So welcome, love having you guys on. I was in Florida last week, did not do any lives. I was on vacation with the family, so hope you guys had a great week. And we're going to get into the why, and that's what we do here at F8. Love getting into that with you guys. All of our videos, it's about why does somebody get autoimmune? Why does somebody get thyroid issues? Why does somebody get gut issues? All these things. So let's get into why do people neurodegenerate? And really, what does neurodegenerate even mean?
Essentially, what most people don't realize is you have the most neurons in your life at around the age of 8. There is some research debate on that, but pretty young, you're growing neurons until that, and then you stop and you start pruning neurons, is what I like to call it. You start trimming the tree. Any neurons that aren't used, they're not along a pathway. Your brain says, hey, look, that neuron's taking up space. It's taking up.
Use it or lose it,
yeah.
Right?
So it says, okay, I'm going to start pruning the useless ones. But that doesn't matter for us, because ultimately what matters is how well the neurons that we do have, how well they're connected. And ultimately what neurodegeneration is, if you want to break it down as simple as possible, is you have two types of cells in the brain. You have a glial cell and a neuron. Either the neuron just basically dies and it removes itself from this chain of firing neuron pathways, or the glial cell that helps feed the neuron, the glial cell that provides the brain's immune system, it helps myelinate or create that fatty coating. The glial cell becomes dysfunctional or over-agitated and it becomes inflammatory. So it's really one of those two things, and also it's kind of the chicken or the egg. If the glial cell is having issues, the neuron's having issue. If the neuron dies or gets injured or whatnot, and you have to kill it off, then the glial cell has to reprioritize what it does.
And so the research was showing that if you're taking a nap for even upwards of an hour is all, especially as you're aging, if you're taking a nap, and it's not just like, you know what, I live in Spain and go take a nap after lunch, a little afternoon siesta. But if you're sitting there and you're like watching the 6 o'clock news and you fall asleep, or at 1 o'clock, you sit down and you're reading a book and you fall asleep and you're just like dozing off, you're 40% more likely to get Alzheimer's, to your brain to start dementing and start to degenerate if you're taking those naps and falling asleep like that. So everybody pop on down below. We had Nicole jumping on from Massachusetts, and we had Sarah from Scotland. Great to see you as well. So ask any questions as also in regards to neurodegeneration. And so here's what we're looking at is we've got two parts, just like the brain book that I wrote, Stop the Damage, Start the Repair. It's both sides of that have to be addressed. If you're not stopping the damage, you can take all the, lion's mane, and there's all these brain supplements and things that we do ourselves. We'll give people glutathione, and we'll give them nitric oxide to try to get blood flow into the brain and all these different things. But if you're still damaging, if you're still having blood sugar up in the A1C up over 6 and all these different things that we know causes neurodegeneration, you're only going to get so far with all of these special things. So a lot of people will ask, hey, should I take lion's mane? Should I take, will turmeric help me not get Alzheimer's like my mom? Well, actually, you've got to look at both sides. You've got to address why you're getting those issues, but also what you can do to help that. And so what are some things that can cause neurodegeneration?
So some of the biggest ones that I would say that start contributing to it, and this is actually the number one field, area of research for both autoimmunity and neurology right now, is the gut-brain axis. We are seeing how just absolutely immense the nutraceuticals or the chemicals and the neurotransmitters and the hormones how much this digestive system plays into a both chemical but also a physical and direct connection to the brain, primarily via the vagus nerve, but also the mesenteric plexus. So this is what I tell people, look, it's called your second brain for a reason. You have almost as many neurons down in this section of your body as you do in this section of your body. It's substantial, and I don't think we can kind of tell people that enough.
And even serotonin.
Oh, absolutely.
Serotonin,
Dopamine, yeah.
More serotonin receptors in our gut than our brain. Serotonin, that's what Prozac and Lexapro, all of those work on, those SSRIs. And so we've got more receptors in our gut. So depression comes from the gut a lot of times. We get, if somebody gets a concussion, TBI, what does that do to their gut?
Well, and that's the thing. So a lot of concussions are what we call the coup mechanism. What people don't realize, and that's the whole kind of whipping as the brain, because your brain's suspended in fluid. And essentially what winds up happening is your spinal cord is continuous with what's called your brain stem or your deep brain. And the only thing splitting them is this hole at the base of your skull. Okay? And so what happens is your brain kind of rolls forward in a concussion or a whiplash, and then it kind of whips or kicks back. You actually have this shearing motion along that brainstem. And that brainstem, just to let people know, just for example, the 12 cranial nerves coming out of the brainstem are your smell, your vision, your hearing, your balance, the movement of your eyes, the control of your heartbeat, your breathing rhythms, your digestion, the tension on your neck. One of my favorite ones is a lot of people come in, because we have a chiropractic background as well. People come in, oh, I just carry my stress in my shoulders and my neck. That's just where I carry my stress. They've been to massage therapists, PTs, chiropractors, and they just have to go their whole life. I'm like, well, when is this going to get fixed? And I say, well, cranial nerve number 11, the nerve that's really close to the base of that skull that gets sheared in these little injuries. If that nerve gets irritated, cranial nerve number 11, called your spinal accessory nerve, it's going to fire protection mode for those muscles, and you're going to be tight all the time. So I said, look, this is one of your first things that brainstem got injured, it's inflamed, and it's not happy. And that biggest nerve inside that brainstem is that vagal nerve that goes down, like we said, controls your voice box, your swallowing mechanism, the people that are clearing their throat, and
this is
I
why
choke on food.
This is why we check every gag test. We do it. We get out the popsicle stick, and they think we're going to check their tonsils or whatever, but we actually check to see if they gag. And you'd be amazed. Probably what 90% probably don't have a gag reflex. So take your popsicle stick next time you. Hopefully you're not eating popsicles, but next time you do, stick it at the back of your tongue and kind of slosh it around there, and odds are there's not going to be much of a gag reflex. If not, that usually tells us the vagus nerve is not working, and that also means that you're probably not digesting like you need to. You're not moving that peristalsis, so your bowels are not going to be moving like they should. Very common. Again, probably 75% of people don't move every day like they need to. And if they do, they're like, well, I take my smooth move tea, or I take magnesium, and I go, what if you don't? Ooh, then it'd be like 3 or 4 days without going. That's not good. You shouldn't have to take something to go every day.
Yeah, and that's actually, so when I talk with all my patients, like, look, let's talk about the earliest signs, the signs that are 100% correctable. I call it the shot across your bow. What are the signs that warn you to say, hey, look, your brain's not happy? That whole neck tension one, digestion problems, those are really easy. But I also tell people, hey, have you noticed as you age, or as your mom and dad or uncles, how all of a sudden they just start loading more salts and more spices? That's because they have a loss, or a consistent loss, or a decrease in smell or taste. Because that's one of the very first signs that your deep brain is not doing well. We did a live, 2 weeks ago, about smell and things like that, and how it affects the deep brain. The second one is recurring or consistent bouts of constipation. Those are your first two signs, and one of the most common over-the-counter medications, I guess, or self-prescribed pharmaceuticals are stool softeners. One of the most common in the U.S. And it's definitely in that top 5 of what people go to the store to buy. And when you look at the future health of what's going on in the U.S., that's a depressing thought right there.
And even Jane here from Florida, my mom died of Alzheimer's. How can I help myself? I'm 65. So, I would guess Jane's mom probably had some of those symptoms too. Probably had constipation, probably had loss or decreased sense of taste and smell. And so here's the thing, you've got to stop that neurodegeneration. Two of the biggest things that you can do, work on your gut, and the other is to get your blood sugar as stabilized as possible. They're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes now. We know that the higher that blood sugar is, the more the glucose is up, the more the insulin is up, the more neurodegeneration we have. So we've got to get that blood sugar as stabilized as possible. We love 85 to 110 all day long. If you can keep it in that range, you're going to be so much better. Your insulin's going to be just like barely doing anything. Insulin's great, but insulin in excess is very inflammatory. And then the other is that digestive tract. You've got to work top down. You've got to make sure you're making enough stomach acid. You got to be making sure that your gallbladder is excreting that bile like it needs to, that you have enough enzymes, that your gut lining is working like it's supposed to. Check out some of our other videos. Brittany, you can pop on some of those on Amazon on YouTube. If you guys have not seen our YouTube channel, we've got almost 600 videos on there, lots of different topics just like this one. So pop on there, subscribe to that channel. All of those, if you're not a big Facebooker, you can get on there. We put every video every day that we post, we put them on there as well. So you can keep up to speed on that one as well.
And there was a question, I just saw someone, I think it's the one right above that one.
Yep.
Patricia, she had kind of a good one. She's like, well, my husband takes, I heard it was good at my age to take a little bit of a nap after a meal. So let's just put this in context a little bit as well. Napping itself is not bad, especially, you had a long week on Sunday, you're just going to take a 2-hour nap. That's not a big deal. Really what this article was addressing were the people that as soon as they sit down, and the way they measured this is they actually put people, what was it, almost 140 or 1,400, anyway. It was a pretty large study, and they just put basically heart rate monitors and breathing trackers, and they can see, just like your apps on your phones, they can see when someone knocks down, like when they just, all of a sudden their whole metabolic rate just decreases, which is a sign of you falling asleep. And these people are not intentionally going and taking a nap. It's as soon as they sit down, oh, I'm starting to lose it, okay? And here's where the way I explain it to patients is, you pay taxes every day you wake up. Your body is kind of like a dictatorship. It has a really high tax rate. A minimum of 20%, if you're normal, 20% of your energy production goes to neural function, baseline. Then just to run your immune system, just not even being sick, just keeping you healthy, keeping you alive, that's about 30% of your energy function. Then on top of that, you have about 35% of your energy utilization goes to just digesting 3 meals a day. Okay, so taxes-wise, you're paying about 85% taxes is every day you wake up.
Just to survive.
And that's if everything's running well. But if all of a sudden this process is now inefficient and it's using more energy for less production, this is becoming less efficient, all of a sudden you're paying higher taxes and you get over 100% taxes really quick. So what this is ultimately telling us is that your brain is now in a state of just depletion. The brain's just like, look, I can't afford to just engage all day anymore. So anytime I just take down a little bit of rest, I'm going to take advantage and I'm just going to knock out.
And knock it out. So, all right, guys, it's a really good indication that something metabolically is off. So not just are you getting tired? Are you taking a nap after lunch? But if every time you sit down, you're dozing off or a loved one's dozing off, that's a big red flag. So if you need more support, here's what you can do. We love getting this information out there. And we also work with patients all over the country, all over the world. And you can schedule a consultation with one of our F8 doctors. Just send us a direct message and we can get you in touch with myself, Dr. Jake, any of our doctors out there, and we can talk to you guys about what you have going on and metabolically give you that support. So if you need more than what you're getting from these videos or from blogs from other pages or whatever you're doing, we're here to help with that. And we love to get this metabolic state change because that's when you can thrive. That's when you can be the best you possible. So if you've got any questions at all, pop those down below. We'll be watching these, tracking these all day long, but we love having you on here. We love keeping up on the latest research, and we're just going to keep giving you as much as we can. So take care, guys.